whatever's happening in our kind of like political system is not reflective of the kind of values or principles that we want to organise by. And actually, the BLM UK shared this really great post a couple of days ago, which was basically like, Tories, no, Labour, no, organised communities, yes, and that's exactly like what the space is for. So learning about organised communities, coming together, and working out how we can do economic democracy together as a precondition for transformative change. And yeah, Nonhlanhla and I started up. In fact, I have a little. Oh, thanks. So, like I mentioned, this is a little timeline. You can go look at this. We're going to put this up in the launch float later.
It is on our... No, it's not. This one's not on our website.
No, it's not on our new website, but it's a timeline of kind of how we came together. In 2018, 2019, we started running workshops to explore the colonial roots of the economic system. And at that point, I'd say that within the economic policy space and campaigning space, that wasn't, people weren't as familiar with it. But I feel like things changed, definitely shifted in 2020, as you probably have noticed, and there's like a much more broader understanding and like capacity to learn. So then we shifted a little bit into, well, if people understand the analysis of the economy better, how can we begin redistributing resources and organising towards the alternative to racial capitalism? And that is very much where we're rooted now. So Nonny's going to tell you a little bit about the name of the event and why we chose it and the background behind it.
So, what is the solidarity economy, I hear you ask? I like to, when I talk about solidarity economy, I like to remind people of Jessica Gordon-Nembard, who is a black political economist in America, whose work is talking about like cooperatives. And she says that the solidarity economy is the oldest economy in the world. And it's helpful for us to also think about the economy as not just one thing, as like a site where there's so many different types of economies that exist. And the solidarity economy is one of them, and the capitalist economy is another. And you know, what are the other ones? There's just the well-being economy is another one. There's just lots of words to talk about the different activities that happen within the economy. Our favorite is the solidarity economy. And the solidarity economy, the solidarity part of it talks about like community, and that, you know, there's collective problems that we all experience because of racial capitalism, and what are the collective solutions that we can also create to combat racial capitalism. And the solidarity aspect is also paying attention to the idea that colonialism, capitalism has shaped a lot of how the economic system impacts people differently, and the intersectional experiences of harm, of violence, of like lack, of scarcity. And when we talk about solidarity economy, we're talking about the ways in which communities come together to be like, we have these shared structural problems, and how can I liberate myself? How can I liberate you? And that being economic practice in itself. And again, when we talk about the solidarity economy, we're talking about survival. And a lot of like what is happening for racialized communities is that you can't necessarily rely on the system. You can't, you know, like you can't go to a bank and get a loan because, you know, like specific people are not trusted with money. Specific people are to be policed. Specific people are not, allowed to have the conditions with which to shape their economic lives. And when we sort of come together to create those economic nourishing realities is a way that solidarity economy connects different ways of economic organizing. And when, again, solidarity economy, I love doing a plenary and just, I feel like I've got a thingy. It's also about what we do with our resources. And like, you know, are we sharing our resources? Are we regenerating them? Are we like making sure that are they being sustainable? It's how we, instead of like, you know, the ideas of like ownership, are we sharing like buildings? Are we sharing homes? Instead of the idea that there's individual people and like everyone is, should be a property owner and stuff like that. And also it's based on a set of principles about care and liberation. So how can I look after you and how can you look after me? And, you know, we also talk about like the solidarity economy tools. And like tools can look like barter, like sliding scale. Tools can look like cooperatives. So, you know, you have housing co-ops, you have food co-ops. Tools can look like lending libraries. So I think there's Dacia here, who is part of WAF Lending Library. And like you can just go and like borrow tools. And those are different ways in which the solidarity economy can show up in the world. And also it's across themes of like housing, land, food, art and energy and finances. And there's lots of ways to practice the solidarity economy. So yeah, I'll pass on to the just transition.
Do you want to hold it up?
Yeah.
Thanks. So, so that's the focus for today's event, is to celebrate the different practices within the solidarity economy, and really in knowing that many of you who are here are also already practicing it. Maybe you don't realize, and you're like, oh, but I am kind of part of a cooperative setup or a mutual setup or an exchange process within my community, and hope that you in the sessions recognize some of those practices and see yourself within this ecosystem of organizers. Just to step back a little bit about where the solidarity economy sits in our kind of broader vision of transformation. We use the concepts of the solidarity economy as an organizing framework to think about how we build preconditions to the regenerative economy. So practicing democracy together, sharing resources. I realize this is not big enough for you to see, but imagine with my hands if I was to say, imagine if the extractive economy is over here, and on this side is the regenerative economy, and the bit across, the arrows that run across, is like the strategies and tactics that we try to employ to move ourselves in that direction. That means drawing down power to the grassroots and making sure resources are governed and owned by communities. And we use this model, which is called the Just Transition Strategy Framework, which you will see in the zines on the back page, a kind of copy of that in the way that we've described the program today. The reason we love this model, which is built by an organization called Movement Generation, is it because it really clearly articulates like what is happening in the extractive economy in ways that many economic models tend to not articulate. So often there's like, oh yeah, workers get exploited and climate change happens. But they forget that the mindset that drives that is the colonial mindset, and what lies behind the colonial mindset is the devaluation and dehumanization of certain groups of people. And so the worldview in the extractive economy is focused on a colonial and consumerist mindset, and means that your resources are just being extracted, dug, dumped and burnt, and all of that is governed by a militaristic or policing system. Then you're going to end up with all of the structural inequalities that exist today. But when we're moving across to the regenerative economy, we can do that, particularly thinking about how we transition out of a colonial mindset. And I guess the purpose of decolonizing economics, exactly that, is thinking about the values and principles that we hold. And that's why we use a solidarity economy, because it's the way we practice the essential values and principles that are necessary to, move towards a regenerative economy. I encourage you all to take a look at this at some point today, or to just log on to the Movement Generation website. This is within a report called From Banks and Tanks to Cooperation and Caring. It is one of the most poetic reports written about economics, and it's just incredibly accessible and lovely to read. And it is ultimately the kind of like basic thesis of the organizing work that we do. So really encourage you towards that. I think that might be all. Yeah.
So within that, the ways that we've been practicing it. So going back to this picture.
Oh, okay,
This one. You know, before in like 2018, 2019, 2020, we had been like, we want to ensure that like communities have an analysis of like racial capitalism and like bringing people together around like how the economy was created, of slavery and extraction. And then we were like, wow, you know, there's so many brilliant organizers that we're in community with around like 2020. And also recognizing that there was so much political education work being done by all our communities too. And we were like, okay, we can stop the bad and also build the new. And so we were thinking, how do we bring together like all of the people who are creating alternative economies of care? And that's how we came up with Nourishing Economics. You don't have to hold it anymore. And we basically came up with the Nourishing Economics program, which was thinking about our ecosystem of organizers that we are working with who are doing those two things. So they are divesting from whiteness and rewind. So we are people who are divesting and unlearning and moving away from what the current economic system expects of us and moving towards investing in building new and creating alternative economic infrastructure that supports communities. And also, I guess between that, the idea of what is economics and who does economics, when we're thinking about how can we identify what we had, I think in the beginning we actually had a really hard time of being how do we name those practices and who are we looking for? And so we started looking backwards and seeing lots of the grassroots organizing that was being done as self-help models of cooperatives, of thinking about the Black Panthers, and then even today to seeing the sort of redistribution work that communities were doing, especially around COVID and around the Black Lives Matter protests, and seeing the ways that people were creating spaces for care and sharing things around healing. And for example, Evie is another one of those people who was taking people into nature to reconnect with the land. And it's sort of, we were thinking, how do we expand what solidarity economics looks like, especially within the UK? So we started the Nourishing Economics ecosystem, where we brought together organizers who are Black and people of color across the UK who are working on solidarity economics, how they identify is up to them as well. Because initially we invite people and they're like, whoa, I don't know economics. Why are you inviting me? But then we're the work that you are doing in meeting community needs is economic justice. And so we sort of developed a program over a year of taking the same-ish group of people across 3 retreats, which was an experience for us because we'd normally just been doing 1 to 2 hour workshops, and then all of a sudden we're doing weekends away with 40 people.
That and working on Zoom.
And working on, literally mainly worked on Zoom, and then now we're outside in nature. We went to Wales, we went to Yorkshire. Where's the other one? South. We went across the country, basically. And over the 3 retreats, we broke it up as the first one was about care and healing and rest, because lots of the people that we're connecting with were really tired and were really, really burnt out because they were just providing so much care to their communities and often underfunded and under-resourced. And then the second one was thinking about the sort of intergenerational conversations that we had been doing, and we invited our elders, Last and Claude, are somewhere, and they were speaking about how they had done the solidarity economy organizing and sort of building shared strategies with or sharing strategies with the younger organizers as well. What else did we do on the second one? We did. We talked about the infrastructure that we wanted. So with the idea that lots of the work that everyone who is here is doing today often are starting from scratch and are not necessarily, we had to figure out about accounting. We had to figure out about let's say if you wanted a building as a community, what is the process for doing that? And lots of us just end up just scrambling to figure it out and thinking about how can we support that information sharing so it's more sustainable. And then on the third one, You don't need this. No, anymore. And then on the third one, which was the last one, we spoke about the future of this program and what it could look like going forward and the things we could do. And if you go on our Nourishing Economics website, you can see that journey that we took as Nourishing Economics program and all the people that were part of it. And it was really, really great. And as a result, we decided everyone who was on the program helped us to organize this festival. And lots of the people who are here today doing workshops and talks are people that came to the program.
Hands up those who are in the crowd who were on the programs. Mujahid, put your hands up. Yeah, right at the back. Great. So if you see these guys, they have blue ribbons, some of them don't. You can go say hi to them. Oh, Amy.
And it was really beautiful, and it's so great to share this work and to also grow our ecosystem of organizers. So today we're inviting you to join and be with us today as we explore Nourishing Economics. And I think one of the things we were talking about is through gathering, feeding people, spending time together, we're creating nourishing realities of those economic futures that we are seeing in the future. But then today we can sort of practice that through how we are together. today.
Last 5 minutes, you got energy for 5 more minutes? Who would like to volunteer themselves to come and stand on the stage and hold up the zine that you were handed at the front desk? Come to the front. Hello. I love the person most furthest at the back. Yes, come on stage. Hi. Name?
Tony.
Tony. Hi, Tony.
Hiya.
You have your zine?
Yeah.
Yes. You're just really keen.
Yeah, I thought you had one for me to
No,
hold.
sorry.
Sorry.
I just need you to hold up, if that's okay. Yeah, you got it. You got it. To the back. You see it?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. It's not obvious, partly because it was so wet, we didn't get to put up the program, so you don't actually know like who's speaking where, what the session titles are, what they're about. I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour about how we designed it, and I encourage you to go to the front desk because they actually have the program details for you to read about the sessions. This morning, so you might notice a familiar pattern here and the Just Transition Framework. When Noni and I were thinking about how we wanted this day to go, we were like, we want to take people on a journey through the Just Transition, and we want to invite them into Nourishing Economics and experiencing that together in this space. So they were like the ideas behind today's program. The morning has been focused on resisting the extractive economy. So you heard about how communities organize for kind of collective care, mutual aid, self-provision, and resisting the extractive economy through self-determination, through like some of the really committed organizing work that's on the front line of the extractive economy. So that's the theme of this morning, and that's why we sort of put it in here, because it's like that focus that is often ignored around like particularly community self-provision as a kind of service provision thing rather than an act of politics. This afternoon from 2 till 3, we're going to be looking at, there's some workshops that if you haven't signed up for on the front desk, please go and sign up for them because there's only 25 spaces per workshop. The themes of the workshops are relational organising in the solidarity economy, movement infrastructure, and reclaiming our culture and
Ancestral connections.
ancestral connections. Thank you. So there's 3 different workshops running at the same time, looking at the kind of values of practice that we need within our organising work, and you've got some excellent practitioners who are going to be there to do that. And in the afternoon, we're moving into how we build a regenerative economy. So one of the sessions which will be here is around community ownership and self-governance. And so we've got some folks who've been involved in like actually owning assets as a collective and like what the challenges and realities of that are. Some real like hard chats around that, some legacy work in that area. And the other session that's happening in the back is basically celebrating African like economic thought and practice and international solidarity. And we have a speaker who's joining us online for that session too. Both are going to be excellent. Obviously, there's interconnections between the 2 sessions this morning and the 2 sessions in the afternoon. So we're hoping to try and like weave in the sort of ideas behind it together. And then you'll have noticed that there are some other like cute things happening. So kids activities in the yurt, the rest space, tarot readings that you can sign up for, Evie's book reading that's happening just at lunchtime. There's some block printing. They might seem cute, but there is obviously a political purpose behind all of those. Making sure that we engage in craft and joy, making sure that we make the space welcome for everyone, ensuring that we're able to like work on our knowledge and our wisdom and citation. So just find a way to engage in the sessions through the lens of economics. And again, if you have any questions, come and talk to us, and we're really happy to chat to you. And I mentioned earlier, but there's more people here. There's a community notice board that will go up on the milk float. So if you have questions or you just want to write a note and say, I want to get involved in this, I'm going to put that up at lunchtime so you can get involved in that.
And also this evening.
Oh, God, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all that stuff. You can talk that.
And then this evening, don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because we have some...
Well, the final plenary.
We also have the final plenary, which is talking about imagination and experimentation, because, trying out alternative economies is scary.
And that's the theme of our work in the next year.
Exactly. Yeah. Experimentation and, like, trying stuff out. And we are joined by Michaela Loach, Kimberly McIntosh, and Dre is going to be hosting. Woo! And then afterwards, we've got a live band. Yeah, and then we're gonna do like scream karaoke, and everyone, we've got one song that we're all gonna learn, Who can guess what it is?
No, don't say it.
Yeah. I just wanted to see someone to
No.
guess it, and I'll be like, wrong. Close, but not quite. No.
Money, money, money.
Yeah, that's normally
That's our
karaoke song. And then, we've got live band karaoke, and then we're going to have a DJ and some food and stuff available as well in the evening. And just stick around, and also just pretend that we're in, like, Barbados. Somewhere hot. Somewhere
During the
just
storm
like,
season.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, this weather's not giving.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
please bear
It's
with
coming.
us.
It's coming.
Hey! Stick around till the end of the day. Go to workshops, and also just a reminder again of all the different spaces.
Yes.
This is the main space, and there's the classroom over there, and there's the roundhouse. And then there's the greenhouse, which is like the chill area. And there's a yurt space for kids as well. And the kitchen and the toilets are just over there on the right of the entrance as well. Yeah?
Lunch is ready. Your token should have your numbers on it. If you're anywhere between 1 to 75, you can go up for first serving. If you're anywhere after 75, go up for second. If even 1 to 75 looks busy, stand back a little bit and then let people take it. Everything is vegetarian, vegan, apart from obviously the chicken. So if you want to have some chicken, go to the line on the outside. We will probably try and start the workshops at 2. So if you want to grab your lunch and just eat at the workshop, that's fine. And Evie, are you beginning what time? 1:30 in the roundhouse will be Evie's book reading and book signing. So do make it there to see Evie. Is there anything
And
else?
also, if you kind of just if you want to try the crafts, there's a block printing workshop, which is being run by Jade and Jess, and it's at the yurt. So you can just take your lunch and then go and do some cool printing. Basically, there's just a lot for you
There's
to
a lot
do.
to do.
And
Have fun.
enjoy. Thank you so much.